Hi everyone, welcome back. Our next step in creating a very visual and very informative PowerPoint presentation is to make it a little bit more entertaining and interesting. Now to do this, what we're going to do is learn how to add animations to the actual PowerPoint to make the words, pictures, shapes, symbols, titles, all of those things come in order as well as in a very visual and interesting way. Now, before we begin learning about this, it's very important to make sure that when you add animations, you are doing it in a thoughtful yet creative way where you are actually thinking about the purpose of animations. The reason that we have animations in PowerPoint is to keep people's attention and allow them to focus in certain areas and in certain parts of the slide at different times, depending on when you're speaking and what you're talking about. The purpose of animation is not just to look flashy and to have fun and entertaining symbols and words and pictures flying across the screen. In many cases, that can be extremely distracting. So it's very important that when you're making your presentations, you think about whether it's for a purpose or whether the animation is distracting and should be removed and maybe changed with another one. Now, as you can see here, and this is the very first thing you should do as well, I've got a page, and this page is informing the audience about the actual composter that we use in school. This page has already been set up the way I'd like it to look at the end. So you should add your information, you should add your titles, you should add your pictures, you should add your shapes, everything that you want in that slide before adding animation. This is important because it allows you to have everything in front of you, and really it saves you time in the end because instead of adding animations and having to remove them later when you find a better picture or better wording, it gives you a chance to add it all at the end when it's time to add it. Now, as you can see here, I've got everything set up, and I've even included, in this case, arrows that point to the 3 different stages of our compost bin. These arrows can be found in the Shapes menu. And of course, in this Shapes menu, you've got many other possibilities. It's a very good tool. And my goal in this PowerPoint slide is to use those arrows, use these words, and use that picture of a compost bin to help to describe and show the audience the different stages of composting. Number 1, the mixing stage. Number 2, the digesting stage. And number 3, the maturing stage. I'll also use these arrows to show each stage as we go. Now to begin, it's always a good idea to add an animation to the title first, because typically that's the part of your slide that you want to show and appear first. And to add animations, the place we're going to have to go after selecting the title, you're going to have to go to your toolbox where many of your tools are found. Now, as you can see here, typically we would start off in this left-hand bar here, this left-hand menu, the formatting palette. Our custom animations, however, are found in the button in the top center that kind of looks like a moving star. So once you click on that moving star, it opens up your custom animations panel. We still have our actual title selected, so we know that we're ready to add an animation here. And it gives us the option to either add an entrance animation with a green star. It makes your wording or pictures appear out of nowhere. You can add an emphasis effect, which makes something stand out by enlarging it or making it spin or really making it stand out. We've got exit animations, which make things disappear and leave. And we've got movement animations that make things move around the screen somehow, either in a certain pattern or in some sort of drawing that you create. This one is typically very distracting unless used well. We are going to begin by having our title appear with an entrance animation, and I'm going to choose a simple animation where it's going to fade in, and it'll give us an example. Typically the fade is a nice classy animation. It has things come in very, very subtly. It's not very bold, and it's typically something you'd want to use for wording or titles, or really someplace you don't want something to stand out, in an extreme way. Now that we've got an entrance animation for our title, we can now take a look at our actual wording on the page. And we're going to have that enter as well. And in this case, I'll have it fly in. And as you can see on the bottom here, it comes from the bottom. I'd actually like it to fly in from the left. And if you look in this menu down here, we are selected onto our content placeholders, which is the actual wording. I want it to come in instead of from the bottom, from the left. And if you play and preview, you'll see. Now it seems to come from offstage left. Now that we've got our information entering, we'd also want our actual picture to enter, and I'll have that appear. Okay? And it'll just flash on. Now with that appearance animation, I'm also going to have my arrows appear as well, and I'm going to have those fade in too. And you have to remember to select each and every picture and give it its own animation. They don't all come in together. So I'll select my last arrow here, go to my entrance animations, and fade in. Okay? Now, we've got on this page so far an animation for every single object, an entrance animation for the title, for the content placeholder, which is our information, for the picture, and for the arrows. Now usually these animations will come in the order that you put them and you place them on the page. So as you can see here, our title will come in first, then our content, our words, then the picture, then arrow from the top, middle, and bottom. Now if I hit play and demonstrate and really preview what this is going to look like, you'll see that it all comes in, but it doesn't really come in order, and it doesn't show which stage is the first, second, and third, because really the arrows are out of order with the actual words. So what we're going to have to do is use, by selecting the actual animations on the right over here, use the up and down arrows to put them in order from what we would like to appear first at the top to what is going to come in last at the bottom. There's also this X category here, this X button, that actually removes animations if you make a mistake. Now, what I'd like to do here is I'd like for my picture to come in with the actual wording, with the content placeholder. So instead of having it being on click at the bottom here, I want it to come in with the previous animation, with my actual information. Now when I click, because my information is on click, when I click for my information to come in, the picture will come in as well because it's with previous. Okay? And now that I've got my words and my picture coming in, I'm now going to bring my wording down so I can actually see all three content placeholders, number 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to have my arrows come in with them. So my first arrow here, arrow 4, I need to move up just below placeholder where it says stage 1 mixing, as you can see. I then need to move my next arrow, arrow 6, just below where it says Stage 2 digesting. And of course, I've got arrow 7 just below our actual maturing stage. And I see that my picture has moved all the way down to the bottom, so I'd like that to come in with my first one. I'll move that all the way up as well. And now all I have to do is make sure that all of my arrows are with previous, because I want them to come in with our placeholders, our actual information. And now we're to the point where we can preview our slide and see everything come in order and in a way that's very easy to present. So now it's talking about each stage, and the arrows appear as the actual information appears. Now, of course, there are small changes and little things that you can do to this to make it work better for your presentation. I just happen to have this type of introduction in mind because this works best for my presentation. So however you plan on speaking this, however you plan on presenting this to your audience, that will all determine whether you have animations that come in with previous, after the previous one, waiting for a second and then coming in, or on click, where you have to click every single time when you want that animation to come in. Can be a little bit distracting to be clicking all the time as a presenter, but if that works best for you and that's how you'd like to organize it, that's fine as well. Okay? So that's a little preview, a little short introduction to entrance animations. All the rest of these animations are yours to explore for the moment. Just remember that exit animations make things disappear. So if you happen to click on the exit animation and you add it to maybe a picture that wasn't there yet or hadn't appeared already, it's not going to work for you. It's just going to make it disappear again, which won't help. So as you explore, as you play with this palette here, the custom animation palette, please make sure you are first adding entrance animations, and then of course you have the ability to add other animations if it is not distracting. That is very important. Please don't be distracting to your audience because they will not pay attention to you. Okay, boys and girls, what I'd like you to do, take a look through some of the slides that you have set up already, add entrance animations to your titles, add them to your pictures, add them to your information, get that presentation a little bit more lively and interesting for your audience. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.